here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing DC's Kingdom Come. Take a look at this column cover right here. Now, Kingdom Come would be an Elseworld story for DC. And for those of you out there that don't know what Elseworld stories are, the stories set outside of the mainstream comics for DC. On a separate universe, on a separate Earth, where anything can happen, and anything that happens there doesn't affect what's going on in the mainstream comics. So, for example, if Batman loses his arm in an Elseworld story, it doesn't have anything to do with the current Batman stuff. This gives writers a lot of freedom to do whatever they want with characters and whatever they want with stories. Sometimes this works out very nicely. You get great Elseworld stories like The Dark Knight Returns. And then sometimes it sucks and it just goes overboard, like All-Star Batman Robin the Boy Wonder. God, that was the most atrocious mess I've ever read. We're not talking about that now. We're talking about Kingdom Come. And Kingdom Come, in the grand scheme of things, is considered one of the best of the Elseworld stories. So well received and so well known. However, I was a little conflicted going into Kingdom Come, because a lot of people have been tearing me in each way direction. I have a lot of people telling me that the story is fantastic, has great themes, and the art is some of Alex Ross's best. And then I have people on the other end of the spectrum telling me, well, the art is dull and boring, there's no real story, and it goes really slow, and nothing really happens at the end. So the question is this: does this live up to the hype that is given to it? Or are those people correct and it's not a good story at all? Maybe it's somewhere in between. I don't know. Well, actually I do know, because I read this, and I'm going to tell you at the end of the video whether or not this story is as good or bad as everyone says. So with that said, we should jump into the story itself. Now I'm going to give you a very condensed, kind of layman version of the story itself. See, Kingdom Come has a lot to it when it comes down to plot. And if I give you too much, it'll ruin the book, it'll spoil stuff, and it would just be too confusing to do in one review. You'd probably get lost after I say Batman. You probably would just lose yourself. That's how detailed this story can be. So I'm going to give you kind of Kingdom Come for dummies. Not saying you guys are dummies, but that's the best term I could think of for how I'm going to review this. Kingdom Come is set into a similar universe of what the current DC universe is right now. Similar, but not quite. Think of it more as like the Silver Age of comics, only fast-forwarded 10 to 15 years in the future. And a lot has happened in those 10 to 15 years. And most of the stuff that's happened is a result of Superman. See, Superman is kind of the cataclysm of everything that has gone down. And it all starts with the Joker. See, the Joker goes to the Daily Planet and then kills everyone there, including Lois Lane, and this pisses Superman off, naturally. And Superman arrests him and brings him in, but Joker is killed by a new hero called Magog. And Magog is basically left free because he killed the Joker and he's a bad guy. This pisses Superman off, he loses faith in the world, and he goes off to his Fortress of Solitude for solitude. And also becoming a farmer to holographic projections. At least some of them are holographic projections. Fast forward many years, Wonder Woman shows up and tells them about everything that's going on in the world. Superheroes are popping up left and right, and they're basically causing more trouble than good. They're running the show, and it's freaking out the general public. So Superman returns and resurrects a new Justice League of America to deal with what's going on. There's a total of 4 factions, with 4 major players in the factions. First, you have Superman with the resurrected Justice League of America, trying to basically fix all the problems that have happened in the world right now. Then you have Lex Luthor's evil council of bad guys, a legion, you could say, a legion of doom. Though Lex Luthor has this council of bad guys, and he's using them to save the world from superhumans. But we all know that's just a facade. Lex just wants to kill Superman. Come on, that's all he wants to do. Then you have the new superhuman community who want to do good, but they're not. They're just causing more trouble than good. And lastly, you have Batman and his outsiders, who are trying to play each angle, working with Superman, the new superhero community, and even Lex Luthor to make sure that the world doesn't go to hell in a handbag. The question is this: which side will win? Will Superman be successful in calming the rage of the new superhuman community? Will Lex Luthor be able to take down the Man of Steel and destroy the superhumans, allowing the regular human race to succeed? Will the new superhuman community show that they're the top shit and that they're in charge now? Or will Batman be able to consolidate everyone together and basically help save the world? That's something that you're going to have to read and see. Let's get into good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Before we jump fully into the good and the bad, I want to talk a little bit about the artist, Alex Ross. Alex Ross is an artist that gets often a lot of praise and often a lot of criticism. I stated before that Alex Ross's art for me has a certain sense of charm to it. It's like Silver Age and Golden Age mixed together in a very realistic-like term. However, a lot of Alex Ross's criticism comes from the fact that his art doesn't have much life. It's really just painting, and for the sake of comics, it doesn't work well with action scenes. And that's something I do agree with. Alex Ross's art, for me, should only be done in Elseworld stories or on covers. The actual art in the comic itself, with the exception of Elseworld stories, should be something other than Alex Ross. This doesn't mean Alex Ross is a bad artist. Far from it. His art is fantastic. It just lacks life. However, and this is one of the goods, for Kingdom Come, his art worked fantastic. Yes, it could have had a little bit more life to it, but really set the tone for the comic. Better than what most comic arts do for a comic tone. It really sets the mood, the atmosphere, and the world we live in. And although a lot of people are up and down about Alex Ross, I'm not going to lie, I can be one of those people sometimes, for Kingdom Come, his art was fantastic. The story itself is a classic story that just works out so well. The old guard versus the new guard. The old lion versus the new lion. Who will come out on top? It's such a very simple, raw elemental story that has been taken off the shelf, dusted off, spruced up, given a makeup, and it worked out well in Kingdom Come. You know, Superman is just portrayed beautifully here, and he's quite possibly the best character in this, because he's being torn from all sides, and there's a lot of drama in this. And it works well for the comic. I like to think that drama has its place in the comic universe. For example, like, Justice League of America comics should not have drama at all, or very little. But on the other hand, the Teen Titans comic should be a fucking soap opera. Kingdom Come has the right balance of drama and action, so it works out well in that sense. In addition to that, the ending in this was fantastic, especially the nice little conversation between Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Beautiful. I'm not spoiling anything for you, just read it. Bad. Well, one bad is I don't feel as though we spent enough time in this universe. I know, it sounds a little silly, because this is a thick comic. It does have a lot of pages to it. It is kind of a heavy read, but you go through it so quickly, you only get a little bit of what this universe is. And a lot of the characters in it really don't get to shine. The characters that are most prevalent are like Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman and the Justice League. Characters like Lex Luthor or Magog, which are played off to be big players in the comic, really don't get as much shine as some of the other characters. It's a little disappointing because I would have liked to see a little bit more of this Magog. I would have liked to see more of Lex Luthor doing Lex Luthor stuff. Even Captain Marvel, who plays a big role in this, really has not that much screen time. So it would have been nice if they added a little bit more to this. I do know they made a sequel, and I'm not going to read the sequel because I've heard nothing but bad things about the sequel, and I don't want to ruin anything that I already like. That's what happened with The Dark Knight Returns. I love that comic. And then I read All-Star Batman and Robin, and I also read The Dark Knight Strikes Again. It just basically tarnished the original comic. So, it would have been nice if a little bit more was added to this particular book. But the sequel, no, bad. Lastly, is that there were some plot elements in this that really didn't go anywhere that much. For example, the preacher dude, I forget his name, we're running around with the Spectre. I mean, it plays a role in this, but not that much. I guess it helps the reader get into this universe through someone else's eyes, and I know he does help out things a little towards the end, but he's really just there, and it doesn't work out for me. Whether or not you should get it, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, because I feel as though that's the only way I can review. But Kingdom Come was a great story. I love this story, and quite possibly my favorite Elseworlds story. Yes, it does have faults to it, but everything has faults. Except Batman, he doesn't have any faults. But what I'm trying to get across is that if you focus too much on the bad, even the small bad, it can ruin the good. And there's a lot of good in this. The story was great. The themes in the story was nice. The characterizations for the universe that they set up was beautiful. And Alex Ross really worked out well here. Like I said, he should do art for Elseworld stories, because that's where he does his art the best. I don't want to see him do art in regular DC Universe in the Elseworld stories. And it just was a beautifully done comic. Mind you, it does have faults, but it is possibly the best Elseworld comic I've read. So do I recommend picking it up? Yes, definitely. Kingdom Come is definitely something people should read, and it's only $14 for something that's probably worth $20+. At least in issue count and page count. So I do recommend getting this. I got this at a 50% off sale at my comic book store, who has been around for 20 years, so they were having a massive sale. Awesome. So that's why I got this, is because it was cheap. But even if it wasn't cheap, it's still something I recommend getting. Now, interesting things to note before I sign off is, one, there was a sequel, as I said beforehand, that I'm not going to be picking up, and I kind of recommend people not pick it up. In addition to that, the Superman from this universe makes a cameo in the Justice Society comics for like 4 or 5 issues, which I haven't read, so I don't know what goes down with that. But that was just a few small side things I wanted to say. Kingdom Come, good story, pick it up, okay? And if you're unsure whether or not it is good or not, judge for yourself. This is Andy saying peace out for now.